since the high of John Means' no-hitter, we've been in a rough patch, and it's been tough on everyone involved. These struggles happen in baseball, but they particularly happen with young teams and a young roster. These stretches can be harder when you have a group of young players like we do. We have a young roster right now. There's no secret about that. And we've done so purposefully with the organization strategy dating back to the middle of the 2018 season, when it was clear that rebuilding the club and the roster was necessary, that the organization would turn towards young players. And while doing so, out of necessity to bring more young talent into the organization, also embark on a plan to repair and reinvest in our organization's talent acquisition and player development pipeline, and repairing the harmony and overall effectiveness of the entire operation. So it was a big task. It is a big task. It remains a very difficult task. And these processes are difficult. They don't go perfectly. They don't go smoothly. They require a lot of effort and a lot of perseverance and endurance through tough stretches like this. And we continue to have the utmost confidence in the coaches and player development professionals that we have up and down the organization, the people involved who are involved in guiding these young players and coaching them and making decisions about their futures, and the players themselves. This wave of young players right now that are undergoing some struggles in what I call their sophomore seasons are a very talented group. I don't think this is unexpected. Sophomore slumps are real. This is a generation of players that has undergone probably the strangest and most difficult introduction to the major leagues possible. A lot of these guys totally skipped AAA because of the pandemic, working at alternate sites, were dropped into the American League East, had a weird calendar last year, have a weird calendar this year. They're pitchers. It's not easy, but this is a very talented group. You look at our young pitchers that have undergone some struggles this year. Kramer, Zimmerman, Aiken. The ERAs are a little high, but the strikeout and walk numbers remain interesting. Positive. Those are interesting and indicative of future results. And we see a lot of talent there. So this is a group of players that we believe in. I know that things will improve and get back in a positive direction on the field at some point. And so we continue to grind through it. But it's most important that we remain steadfast on our organizational goals right now of improving the overall functionality of the organization top to bottom. We're already seeing positive signs of that in the minor leagues and some early positive results in the minors and good performances across the rungs of our minor league ladder. And that's what we want. That's going to continue to improve. And that's even in spite of the challenges that the last year have presented themselves with compressed talent acquisition and the interruption to the minor league schedule. With that, I'll take any questions, but we are remaining on target with what we're trying to do, which is build for a sustainable, competitive, playoff caliber future for this organization for a long time, so that we do not have to undergo a process this dramatic ever again. Thanks.
First question is from Rock Kabako.
Mike, when you see the bullpen struggling the way it has been, do you feel hamstrung at all that there aren't a lot of 40-man options at AAA right now, especially if you want to keep starters in their current roles? Or do you see non-roster guys that are pitching well down there, and there are a few, and feel like it's a fairly easy maneuver if you want to bring them up?
Yeah, a lot of our 40-man players in AAA are a little beat up right now, and it's a shorter number of optionable options than you would like to have. But that happens to every team we may even be above average in that regard right now. Honestly, there's injuries everywhere. Things never go to plan. But we have Dylan Tate coming back online very soon. Hunter Harvey coming back online very soon. Max Roller coming back online very soon. I think that will improve. But other players, we see guys get banged up every night. And so this is just all about depth and navigating the season. I would like to get the entire group healthy all at once. It would make things easier. We always knew this was going to be a very difficult season to navigate, especially with us having to worry about the health of these young pitchers first and foremost, and continue to do so. But yeah, I think that we have the 40-man roster flexibility and enough interesting performances and interesting arms off the 40-man roster here where we've got some depth there. I'm sure, as we've told all those guys since spring training, they're going to be needed to a man. I think it's going to happen at some point in time for a lot of them. So they've just got to keep putting their work in and pitching well in AAA, and wait for the confluence of opportunity and timing. I think we'll see some of that group. But I do, while we're not in perfect shape right now, I do feel like we've got an adequate amount of pitching depth in AAA and below.
Rich Dubroff.
Last week, Mike, when you were asked about Chris Holt, you said that he was working. He was working remotely, and he was available. When will he be available to come back to the team?
I'm hoping soon. I mean, this isn't a planned thing. Life happens, in everything, and we accommodate people when that happens. And he's obviously very committed to this team, so it's very important, to say the least, that he be where he is. But I think hopefully he'll be back soon. He's been working very hard remotely, and staying plugged in. But we have a great pitching coach in Darren Holmes, who's been keeping things going. But we have 2 pitching coaches on the staff for a reason, and it'll be nice to get Chris back soon.
Joe Trezza.
Hey, Mike. Obviously, everybody, not only on this call, but with you guys, knows the realities of how challenging a rebuild can be, and the lumps that a team might have to take during that process. But you guys have lost 15 of 17, and there are rebuilding teams that don't go through stretches that are that tough, and it doesn't seem like it's inevitable. And the roster's been fairly static during that time. Is there a point where that kind of losing becomes unacceptable, and is that close?
Well, I don't think anyone's happy about the win-loss record. We haven't been since we've been here, but it's very important for us to remain focused and committed, and overreacting briefly to struggles from young players, making rash roster decisions with guys that have bright futures is not in our long-term nor short-term best interest. So, we remain committed and focused and working hard every day on what we do, and understand that baseball can be like this, especially when you're going through what we're going through. And the players themselves have the same approach, and know that the hits will start to fall, or they'll get into a groove on the mound. We wait for that to happen. And we see talent here, we see youth here, and we want to continue supporting these players and allowing them to develop and get better.
Steve Molesky.
Mike, when you see young players you believe in and you think can be long-term players for you, like Mountcastle and Tanner Scott, have some struggles, how do you weigh riding it out with them against a potential minor league reset?
Yeah, it's frustrating to see that, especially with both of them and others having such smooth years last year in the shortened season. But as I said, it's more often than not that there are ups and downs with young players, and it's the exception that comes up and just continuously performs well in the major leagues. So we're understanding of that, but yeah, we've got to put the work in, and we've got to put them in positions to improve. And if we feel at any time that someone is overwhelmed, that their development would be better benefited from being in Norfolk than being in the major league environment, we will do that. But suffice to say that as guys are on the major league roster, they're there because we want them to be there, and we see better performances on the horizon for really a lot of these guys.
John Muley.
Mike, it's still a little bit out, but how would you characterize the prep for the 5th pick right now?
We're still in kind of the field scouting phase. I mean, the conference tournaments are happening this week. I'm going to one tomorrow. The high school seasons are starting to wrap up. We're starting our small pre-draft workouts in the next few weeks in different regions. A lot of these plans were kind of put on ice with the pandemic and not knowing what would be allowed by the league, but we will be able to have some small workouts. But we're far from getting all of our scouts and analysts in the same room and starting to debate players and line up the board and look at data and all those things that you do in a draft room. But a big part of that is the draft is so much later than usual. It's a full month later than it normally is. So we have a lot of time. So right now we're still in the process of kind of gathering as much eyeball footage, so to speak, as we can on these players before they stop playing games.
Dan Connolly.
Like you said, you wanted to put an emphasis on defense to help the pitchers. It's something that Brandon Hyde has said as well. Specifically, the defense from your catching unit has not been even average at this point. What do you see there? How do you evaluate it? Is there immediate help on the horizon? I know there's obviously Richmond below, but is there immediate help on the horizon? And does it have to get better, or will a change have to be made if it does not?
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on what everyone is doing in AAA. I mean, across the board, that's something that we're looking at and getting reports at and weighing things. I have been frustrated at times with a lot of defensive performances on the team. But this is understanding again that this is a tough game. These players are working hard, and we're going to try to get the most out of them. But ultimately, if we get to the point where a different mix would be for the benefit of not only those players themselves, but for the pitching staff or the team at large, we're going to look at that and consider it. So. I know that there have been frustrations, and we share them, but we're not at that point, and we're going to continue to push and work.
Mark Viviano.
Hey, Mike, you have been open from the outset about the process of a rebuild. Among your duties as a GM, what do you see the importance and or difficulty of keeping a fan base engaged in what is obviously a difficult time at the major league level? It's very painful. I mean,
we follow this team as well on a night in and night out basis. We're living it. We understand the length of losing that this fan base has gone through, dating back to 2017 in a lot of ways. This is a long time, but we have a lot of systemic level work that has needed to be done. We were not participating internationally. That's a third of the cost control talent in baseball. We had issues that needed to be updated across player development and the analytics space, and we've put in that work, and we're continuing to put in that work. And meanwhile, we're allowing young players the chance to play and stick in the major leagues. And while the overall record and team performance has been very difficult during that time, we are seeing some rewards from that. And we've seen unbelievable individual blossoming and performances. You're starting with John Means, who joined the team in 2018 as an unknown and stayed on and is now honestly looking like one of the better pitchers in baseball. We've seen Cedric Mullins work through his struggles over a few years and looks like he's putting together a great game as one of the better center fielders in baseball. And Austin Hayes, navigate his health and put together strings of good performances and show off the tools and talent that he did in the minor leagues. And we endure, aspects of this process in order to reap those benefits. So it's very tough. I've said all along, this is not something that you want to do purposefully. This is where we started from when this group came in. We're trying to fix things. The way that baseball is and the way that it's set up is it takes more than one season or 2 seasons, and especially in the division that we're in. There's some length to the process. We've been here for 2 drafts. One of them was only 5 rounds, but we're seeing those players graduate up through the minor leagues. Soon the international players will start to join them. There's a lot to look forward to. We're doing things the right way, and doing them in a way that will set us up for a long time, so that hopefully we can be amongst those organizations that are able to avoid going through processes like this. And it is possible, and it's difficult, but you got to get to that level first. And that's what we're doing right now. That's what I and a lot of other people were brought here to do. It's hard work. It doesn't go perfectly. You have some good luck, you have some bad luck, but our sleeves are rolled up and we're grinding through it, and we're going to start seeing results eventually. I'm very confident of that.
We have time for a few final questions. Next up is Rockabacco.
Do you need to make a roster move today because of Hayes and Mount?
You cut off there at the end. Hayes and Mountcastle. Yes, we if it hasn't already come out, we're putting Austin on the 10-day IL backdated. So hopefully it's a very brief stay, and we'll be activating Ryan McKenna today as a result.
Next up is Joe Trezza.
Like, you're seeing guys like DL and Grayson and Bradish get off to really good starts down in the minor leagues. And there was, some uncertainty this year, given last year how guys would perform right out of the gate. Is there a chance that some of those higher level prospects might move more quickly this year than you might have anticipated, given the fact that they didn't play last year, if they keep performing well?
Yeah, and I think that we already are talking, and we've seen Kyle Bradish be promoted already, and we may be doing more big name moves in the next week or 2. But very, very unique circumstance this year. I mean, having the season canceled, first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that we weren't missing anything. We just hadn't seen these guys play real games for a while. So on the whole, despite the incredible talent that some of these players have, we on the whole erred towards lower assignments, with the idea that if we felt that they were ready, we would start challenging them. And that's what we did with Kyle Bradish, who really missed the year that he normally would have been in AA, although he was at our alt site. So we're continuing to look at that. We've seen some really encouraging stuff so far. We've got an incredibly talented group of young pitchers. Keeping them healthy during this 2-year coronavirus calendar is going to be a challenge, and it's something that's at the forefront of all of our minds. But yeah, we will. I think that normally a month of minor league play you take with a grain of salt, but in a lot of ways, this is the first real data that we've gotten on some of these guys in well over a year. And, we've got to react to it probably a little more aggressively than we might otherwise.
And just one quick follow, if you have time. Do you guys still view Keegan Aiken as a starter long-term? He's in the bullpen now, and there seems that there have been some struggles in the rotation that would seem like maybe an opportunity for him, but they also seem like they're kind of necessitating his current role.
Yeah, we do. I very much view him as a starter. I think that the last couple of weeks that he's been in the bullpen has been because we've had other pitchers that we wanted to maintain in the rotation. And frankly, we just need length, period, whether that's coming out of the pen or in the starting rotation, is not that important in his case. And, he looked good last night. I think he's going to get starting opportunities here very soon again, and long term we project him as a starting pitcher. But while our group of long guys are all on the roster and all healthy, somebody's going to have to come out of the pen in that scenario. But the way baseball is, it's probably going to be less often that they're all online at the same time. So, there's going to be shared starting duties. We're trying to be mindful of innings totals. We're also trying to be mindful of development. We're juggling a lot here with this young group, but again, we're committed to youth and developing these players and seeing what we have. We're going to be taking our licks as a result of that. But there's a reason that we're doing it, and I remain responsible for and committed to executing the broader organizational strategy to get us back to the playoffs.